Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I have a guest with me today. Mr. Ronnie Renton is back with us again from Mantic Games.
Thank you, thanks for having us.
How's things going?
Yeah, busy.
Best way to be.
Yeah, kind of quiet summer and explosion after explosion after explosion at the moment. So thick and fast, but you know, which other way is it to fly?
Keeps you warm in the winter, doesn't it?
These grey hairs, look at this. Your lighting's doing me favours.
I thought, seeing as you're here, we've got the opportunity to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, great.
See how things are going. Last time we chatted, it was about the board game division.
Yeah.
So things have we've got some new stuff to talk about since then. So yeah. I think we'll kick off for want of a little bit of promotion for their own Firefight slow grow campaign. Brilliant. So we're into our last month now. So we've been going 2 months. The last month's coming along. Everyone should be finished. They're at 1,000 points by the end of November. How has it been from your side? From my side, it seems to have been going pretty well.
It's fine. To be honest, because we knew we were going to be kind of Kings of War heavy.
Yeah.
It was wonderful having someone kind of doing the heavy lifting of taking people's best intentions, as we all have, because we're all hobbyists and we all know of our mountain of shame, and saying, right, let's go through this together. Yeah. And I very much wanted to kind of do it myself, and I'm for sure if we do one in the new year, I will jump on. But it was wonderful for us to know that someone was sitting down with a big group of our fans, taking them from plastic crack to 1,000 points of gaming. And I think that's the hardest part. Yeah. And we know that Firefight is a breathtakingly beautiful game. It is sensational. But the hardest thing is to get from a pile of sprues that you're excited about to something you can push around the table and roll some dice. Yeah. So I think the work you've done there is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's the type of stuff we wish we had the time to do ourselves, but we just don't. And so you doing that and taking 200 plus people through that journey is fantastic, especially at a time that we knew we were going to be looking at kind of Kings of War, which needed some love because we'd had a year of sci-fi with Dead Zone and then Firefight. You know, so taking people that got excited about it and taking them on that next journey, brilliant.
I think to be fair, it's testament to Mantic as well that you have so much going on and so many sort of like popular games that actually you're never going to have time to focus sort of deep dive on every single game. And you know, the suggestion we want more of that hobby content, and I think it's brilliant you've done it. I think people just need the hand-holding, particularly the first 500, the first 1,000 points. Yeah. Once you've got that thing, I can play, I've got the confidence to play, and I've got my army, I'll add a unit, I'll add this. Yeah. It becomes a joy. Yeah. But that first, climbing up the first mountain, I think is the hardest journey. So, well done you. I think it's brilliant, and well done for everyone that's stuck with it, you know, and got through it, because I think that's the hardest part. And, you know, we'll talk a little bit later, we do the Kings of War stuff about what we've just done with Ambush, because it's tapping back into what you've just done with your slow grow. It's absolutely that same journey, because what stops us playing these games that we love? And one of the things that I think Mantic now has, I've said earlier to you, is 3 brilliant games and 1 very good one. But to play any one of them, you need to have painted some toy soldiers. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that will quite happily just throw down kind of grey plastic and stuff, but the vast majority of people have you know, with the best will in the world, we all want to see those beautiful tables with a nice terrain and all of the painted models, and it builds that story, and it's kind of like, you know, we're all going pew-pew in our head and all that kind of stuff. And you're right, I think sometimes it's just that little nudge, get those first few painted, start to fall in love with your army.
Correct.
And then
it just keeps going, doesn't it? And I think it's it. And I applaud, you know, the get your army built and play with plastic, because when you play, you're falling in love with your army.
Of course, yeah.
You're learning what you want to paint. You see them and you think, I love these, but I want to get that basing done, faces and bases. I want to take it on to the next level. And that's a hobby, that's our journey. You know, there's nothing more satisfying than when I mean, it's always the hard thing. You've been painting a unit for a while. You think, it's finished. Oh, it's not finished, but it's finished. But it's finished. And you put it on there and right, next.
That's it,
But it's very satisfying when you come back a month later, you go, I'm so pleased I've done that.
Yeah.
Kyle, our US sales guy and also Kings of War god, was in my office the other day because we flew him over for Clash of Kings, and he stood there and he went, "Is that your army?" 2 shelves of dwarves. I was like, "Yeah," and he says, "Well, it's quite good, isn't it?" I was like, "You cheeky bugger." I said, "What do you mean it's quite good? You know, doing 30 years, I have painted 15 units, you know. I do actually do it, and we do enjoy that satisfaction of getting the stuff over the line, and it's there, and it's lovely, and it's It's the hardest part, but the most rewarding part.
Definitely, yeah. And one of the nice things that I've seen is there's a real mixture of people in the slow grow as well. So you've got some people absolutely smashing it out of the park, onto their third army, chomping at the bit. Like, I've already done 2 armies, but I want to take part in the slow grow, so I'll start a third one, or I'll finish that one, I'll start. So there's some people at that end of the scale.
No one likes them.
No. There's some folks who had maybe bought the 2-player starter set and hadn't quite sort of made that first dive yet, and they've been getting in and painting that. Yeah. There's some people who have been on the fence about Firefight and have said, right, I'm gonna buy an army, I'm gonna take part in this, I'm gonna get ready and get it done. And then there's some folks haven't finished yet, but we'll not talk about those.
Listen, they're working slowly through it. Even if you've moved it on from grey plastic sprues to glued together and based, undercoated, you keep coming back to it. It's there. It's on your gaming table.
Exactly. Yeah.
The worst place it can be. Well, the worst place it can be is still in my warehouse because you haven't bought it then. So that's the worst place. Don't do that. The second worst place is still in the box.
100%, I agree with that.
So anytime you're making progress, it's good progress. It is progress, and it just keeps going. I think it's great. So stick with it, everybody. And we've got you'll want them because we've got some seriously exciting plans for Firefight.
Yeah,
coming up.
We're going to have a little chat about Firefight in the future as well. But what we're going to do it is a separate video.
Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll send that out to Firefight Slow Grow campaigners first, so they get to see it. And then everybody else can come and have a look at it as well.
Johnny come latelys that haven't done the hard yards.
That's it, yeah. We'll do it to the passionate ones.
Yeah, the passionate few.
We just talked there as well briefly about Kings of War. I'm just looking because it's on the desk there in front of us.
Yeah.
New Kings of War, Big Red Book 3.5. Has this, have you seen kind of, how's it been for you guys from your side? I've seen the buzz from my side.
Yeah.
But what about for you?
So I think, with 2 things. So it was probably, Halflings, I would say, was our last massive release, which was kind of August 2021.
Yeah.
We'd done a whole load of work in a complete IP rebuild from 0 to hero kind of status, full plastics, new IP, standing on the backs of trolls, harvesters, grenadiers, air balloons, Iron Pig, come on, wonderful. So I think that was a real high point, surprising with good fun. We had Riftforged Orcs, which was a kind of change out. It was a story driven, but then with all of the changes that happened with the pandemic, we didn't kind of announce them in the campaign that we were going to do. Alongside that, our big game slot last year was Dead Zone.
Yep.
Our Easter game slot was Firefight. So for the first time in 2 or 3 years, we hadn't given. Now, obviously, Clash of Kings 2022 was huge. Yep. There was a lot of nerfing and boosting there. So I think that had done, but we had the first real year of gaming since 2019.
Yeah.
And we forget that. So it was we'd had some gaming in 2021, very little in 2021. So it was probably the longest period that we'd had where we just let everyone get on with it. And away you went. And after a year, idle hands turned to mischief type things. And because while everybody knew it was coming, no one started a new army. No one's kind of recruiting. You're playing if you're playing, but you're waiting for the new stuff because you're not going to start buying a new unit if it gets nerfed or bumped, whatever. So we kind of then had this 2 to 3 months over the summer where everyone drew breath. They knew it was coming. And then, I think what was joyous is we realised that after Big Green Book, Uncharted Empires, Clash 2021, 22, plus there was a bit of Helpy's Rift when it was that kind of night. We merged 2 books together. Well, suddenly we were in danger of becoming, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's quite a lot of books to carry. So we just got them all, and for the first time we put the Uncharted Empires books in there. We took the background text out because it's a kind of mid-edition. Yep. We put all that online so you can just go get it, download it. But we've still got 800 green books in the warehouse, so if anyone wants it, just pay the postage and I'll ship it to you and you can sit and read it. Or come visit us at a show and I'll give you a copy. So that, it's still in print, but this is your games edition. It brings it all up to speed. And I think it pushes back the need for a kind of 4th edition.
Yeah.
It just kicks it down the road because really what we need to do, and it's what we were talking about before, and what we've done in here is what's the hardest thing about getting a game of Kings of War? Well, 2,300 points.
Yeah.
Is 200 figures.
Yeah.
Or 7 if you're playing ogres. So we've done Ambush.
Yes.
And Ambush is our kind of meeting you halfway on the slow grow.
Yeah.
And saying, look, here's how you get to 500 points, and you can play, and you will have a blinking great game. You'll really, really enjoy it. And it's not too much to paint. And you can find 15 different ways of painting. You can do my way of gluing it together, sticking it on the base, spraying it black, painting what you can see, through to, Angel Herald, painting every beauty in the eyes and everything that you can see. So, but the most important thing is that journey we were talking about. It's repeating the slow grow. And I think Skirmish gives us that. Legendary is really, the real way of playing, because obviously you just line up as many toys as you've got and just keep battling each other all weekend. So it's got lovely breadth. It is buffed. It wasn't too much of a min-maxing. We did some of the most obvious stuff, but I think another year of gaming and Class 23 book will be a better one of those. This was more about bringing it all together, pulling everything down, saying, right, let's go again and let's address the things that people are struggling with. And the first one is getting to 2,000 points and being able to play a game. So let's make that journey easier.
I think it's great. I mean, it's something where it not only gives an entry point for new players, I think it also gives current players an opportunity to start maybe a new army. I'm not ready to commit to 2,500 points
but
yet.
You know what?
I wouldn't mind a little game.
Well, and I started this with Trident Realms myself a while ago. I'd done the dwarves. It was during lockdown. I'd kind of got my dwarves to where I was got to. I'd finished the terrain project that I was doing. And I was like, I fancy something, but I don't know. And because I couldn't get to that critical mass of 3 or 4 units, I didn't, and therefore it petered off. Vanguard was supposed to do that, but didn't. Because it with Dead Zone, your figures are single, and there's not many, but you'll always overpaint because you needed the choice, because there's only 8 on the table at any time, but you want 20. Because, how am I going to configure my army? And painting 20 figures isn't hard. So, and then with 20, you are already a bit of a firefight. I done a couple of tanks, and I can play this. I'm off. Here's your 1,000 points. So it just naturally leads you up. And then when we put firefight built on the kind of Dead Zone rule mechanics, you've suddenly got this journey. You can come in through a slow grow. You can come in through Dead Zone. You can come in any which way you like. With Kings of War, there isn't a natural progression from a skirmish game, a round or square base. We kept the square base. We thought, well, you may have painted your heroes, but you haven't painted your army. You haven't even started painting your army. You painted the fun bit out of your army. You've still got the hard work to go. So that's where we came down into Ambush and said, right, here's some great games that you can play with 2 or 3 units. So, and I think it's a great point. If you're a vet, and it's a bit like what you were saying with the slow grow, very good way of just starting a new army and it not being too much, but getting it on the gaming table,
or even just a bit of a hobby project. Because I think if you've spent a lot of time, you've committed to 2,000, maybe 2,500 points, you kind of like, I'm finished now, but you might not want to start another 2,500. I want to get to play this army. I want to kind of learn it. I want to learn. But actually, it's nice to have a little project in the background, something to paint on. So
and also if you want to get your mate in.
Again,
you do that one, which is quite good fun. I've enjoyed it. Which one do you like second best? I painted the one I like best. But I tell you what, those halflings have come out. Those ogres are nice. Those Empire of Dusty's nice. So I'm telling you, I'm not going to give myself to 2,000. I'm just going to have a little. And so in January we've got ambush sets.
Right.
6 armies, kind of on most modern or most recent, just plastics, 2 or 3 sprues.
Fantastic.
Here you go.
I like that.
Rules online, ambush rules. Here's your army list for your ambush. Away you go. Let's just lower that entry so that all of you can go, I love this game. I'm going to just share it. I'm going to bring 2 people in. If everybody brings 2 people in, we'll be 300% bigger going into 2024.
Anything you can do that lowers that initial barrier to entry. This is an ambush army in a box. Here's the list to build it to as well. You don't have to worry about
QR code is on the box. Just takes you straight to the page.
Fantastic.
Bang.
I love that.
And then also there's 6. Right, well, I'll tell you, I'll commit. If you do another slow grow, I'll come along with you. I'll do one of those. And it's about just that idea of getting a few figures onto the table, getting the momentum started. And we all know that once you've done the first few units, it's a joy to then add that big thing, add that cool thing. That's another 500. Oh, I need 1 more regiment to unlock that. Well, I don't mind doing it. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And it becomes a journey that you enjoy. But you've got your points, you've got your old army. Let's get my mate playing now. He's playing. Well, he's going to go and start another one. An ambush. And, the price point on these ambush sets, 30 quid, 40 something bucks, 45 bucks. I mean, super low. You're at £1 a figure. You can't even 3D print for that. So they're there. QR code, away you go.
Love that. And you've obviously got a 2-player starter set coming soon as well.
Yeah, so we always do that because people just love, picking those up and either getting a dabble of 2 armies and then picking your favourite, giving the other one to your mate. So Ogres and Empire of Dust is out. If you buy it at the moment, you actually get the big red book in there.
Okay, I didn't realise that. Okay.
So the big red book's in, so you get all your army list, everything you need, plus your 2 armies, which are very nice. I'm sure we've got some plastics and the Ogres, big juicy thick thighs and legs. Yeah. Exciting stuff. And the Ogres are pretty sexy.
Well, that leads on very nicely to what I was going to talk about, actually, because I've been fortunate enough to see the Ogres. We've got some sprues on the table over there, and we'll get some nice shots in this video. I would say generally Mantic sculpts and the plastics and the resins have been improving gradually over time, and I think people who maybe haven't kind of looked at Mantic stuff for 3 or 4 or 5 years will be really surprised to see where things are now. What I would say is the Ogre stuff feels like another step on again.
Yep.
And I'm right in thinking that they've been manufactured by a different supplier.
Yep.
So I can wax lyrical about how nice they are, but how did that change come about? Was it about quality? Is it a side effect?
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's about quality. So I think the tiers were I think Mantic came in straight away. We started with Renedra and Bob Naismith, so we came in at a certain level. And we tried a lot of things with our round bases and other things, and you live and you learn, and the game develops and things develop. But one of the things we just can't shake is that kind of the Mantic sort of games are great, but the models aren't that good. And you say, well, just gotta have a look.
Yeah.
And I think when we started doing resin and from metal, that really stepped up. And I think if you, I'll put our resin next to anything that's out there. I think it's really good, particularly if it's War Games figures for War Games purposes. They're fitting on the base. Make sure you can move them around the table. That's there, and we kind of got the plastic to a place where you're getting quite a lot of stuff, and it ranks up, and it was good. But just that last little bit that takes good War Games models to great, we just couldn't get the previous toolmaker over the line.
Yeah.
And we knew it was in the sculpts because we've done it in the past. Go look at our goblins. I think our goblins are just remarkable. I think they're the best goblins on the market. Throw me any other sprue or resin down next to them, I don't think you can beat them. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. But then you'd get something else. You think, well, there's a little bit of detail missing on here, or that just doesn't quite vibe. Why have you? And they make changes you don't know about, and you just can't hit that 95% or above every single time consistently. And that's we just can't live. I'm not happy at 85 or 90, 92%. I want it in that space where I can't see any faults. They're super, super picky. You'll find something, okay, well, that's going to take another £1 million of tooling, and we're not going there, but bash, you get our unit down and the goblins. And then, so we started looking around, we've been having some conversations, and we picked up this new toolmaker, and they are hobbyists, and they just get it. So they know the mould line. If they need to come back to us, they say, okay, we can get it. We can tilt it 1 or 2 degrees so that the mould line works, rather than, them just bodging it or putting it in the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. They turn around really quickly, and we are just very, very, very pleased with the outcome. I think the Ogres are just gorgeous. So we knew the detail was there. We knew we'd put right some of the sculpts that were wrong with the PVC. And it's always a stretch, because, our PVC Ogres weren't bad. PVC, they weren't bad. It's a nice size. Minis, 25, 28, 30 mil, feel a little skinny. But when you chunk up a bit, actually the PVC holds, and that was our early PVCs. It wasn't even our best. So throwing that in the bin and starting again, you've got to know that you're going to go not 1 step, but 2 or 3 steps. Well, I think we've done that. I think from the aesthetic through to the detail, through to what you get on the sprue.
It's interesting because I think it's a comment you've made many times in the past, is like, it never feels like good business sense to start remaking minis you've already made, kind of thing. You've already ploughed some money into it. And like you say, the old Ogres were still nice. They were still
solid. They were a solid 7 out of 10.
But I would say genuinely these are a 10 out of 10 now. That's kind of how
I'll say 9.5, but
that's how much
I'll take 10 out of 10. And that's where you have to know that it's going to do that.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the other tooling, and they were saying, well, we need to retool them, I said, but that tool maker isn't going to give us a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah. They did with the goblins.
Yeah.
They have with, half of them, but other ones have got an 8.5. Well, to go from a 7.5 to 8.5 doesn't feel like a good use of time. We should do something else.
Yeah.
But when you can come along and say, nah, bang, right, this is a 9.5. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, when I saw them come through in the post the other day, and I haven't shared them with anybody because there was a little note saying you can't share them yet.
Okay, that's it. Get out.
I genuinely kind of looked at them and thought these are the best plastics I've seen come out of Mantic, and that's kind of like, you know, I'll be honest, that was what the video was going to be. So when it comes out, there's no surprise now.
There you go. That's the punchline ruined. But I think you'll have great fun with them.
Yeah.
They look lovely. I brought a few down, so get some pictures. But we're very, very pleased. I think that trajectory, that direction of travel, and you know, some of the plans we've got for Kings of War are just very exciting. You know, this kind of third 3.5 was bringing it all back together again.
Yeah.
Retouching the Lodestone in light of the craziest 2.5, 3 years we've ever had, which suddenly have seen a new toolmaker that we really believe in. You know, our sculptors on it, we're on it. Okay, now let's go blow the doors off.
Yeah. It's interesting because we chatted briefly before we started filming, and I think we almost forget that like 2020, 2021 feels like a million years ago now, and actually we forget people weren't playing games, which then makes it really difficult to then kind of to tweak and rebalance your game again when you don't have that information.
And how long was it going to last?
Yeah,
because I think there was a point when by late 2020 people were no longer playing, and you'd painted your army, you'd done your hobby project.
Yeah.
It was starting to get a bit, you finished work, you turned from your computer to your TV and what's on Netflix? I've watched everything I want to watch. Crumbs, can I get out? So it was feeling like it was going on. Our release schedule is minimum a year. If I don't plan it now for next year, Matt's in my ear moaning at me. But things were kept changing, and that'd come in, and that's delayed, and that's late. That's not very good. Oh, by the way, that tool factory over there just had a COVID lockdown for 3 months. Okay, and so a lot of my time was spent on operations. Yeah, which is just not what I want to be doing. I want to be making cool new toys and making games and getting excited and letting competent people deal with the ops. Yeah. But when so much is changing, you have to go back to the release schedule because of the ops, okay, come on. So this is the first year where, we've been able to get out, have some conversations, get some things going that's going on, look ahead. And even then, we were kind of late, not late, but
later than you wanted.
Yeah, and because we had got so used to things changing that we hadn't really done a kind of 3-year, okay, let's knock these things over. And so going into next year, I can get a company say, wow, I'm very, very excited. But this was kind of a lodestone to a touching point to kick on from. Yeah. And you needed to do this. We need to get the app down. We'd come and look to what's going on digitally and all that stuff and say, okay, Greg, these are brilliant, but we can't evolve it. We can't integrate it. How can we work on that? Yeah. So we needed to pack all of this kind of slightly boring, solid work to bring everything together to allow us to have a solid platform to then build on. Ambush, new plastics.
It's all the stuff in the background nobody ever sees, but it takes a lot of work to get to that point, and it takes a lot of work to get to the app and all of those kind of things.
And there's a lot of work, and everyone spots the one thing that's wrong, of course, and that's great, and Ellie's very good at taking that feedback. But once it becomes a thing where you just go, I'll just have that. Suddenly that allows us to start going, okay, here's a new unit. Yeah. Wow, cool. There it is. There she starts. Bash. Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of excitement coming, and I think a lot of this year has been about just underpinning, building on concrete, not building on sand. Yeah. And the new tool maker is very exciting. Some thoughts that we were going to kind of save for fourth, we're going to start rolling in terms of how we present units and things like that. So, exciting stuff.
Exciting indeed. And speaking of exciting, last time we chatted, as I mentioned before, we were talking about Mantic board games. Yep. Been a little bit quiet since then about any news on Mantic board games. Is there anything you can share today? What's happening in the background?
I'm just trying to think what I can share. So my pen is hovering over 2 licenses. Okay. And predominantly we see that we will be, I'll tell you what, I'll reveal, we will be revisiting Dungeon Saga. Okay. And we're going to revisit it in 2 ways, actually. This is a January reveal, and I'm letting it go because it's open day weekend, so I've got to leak a few things. I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but there we are. Dungeon Saga Origins is a revisit of Dungeon Saga because it's been a perennial seller for us. It's been absolutely brilliant. But we're going to focus it on the journey that you play with your kids. Right. So it's going to be called Playing with Dad or Mum. I was about 10 when the first version of Warhammer came out. Black and white. I had a pre-order and it arrived. And that was the kind of start of my wargaming journey. So I was that kid of 12, 13, 14 that went through the School of Games workshop. Yeah. And until that point, there wasn't a game. They were selling chess sets and backgammon sets and D&D. For second, third, fourth. Now, I'm the old man of the hobby. But a few years ago, I wanted to play games with my boys. Yeah. And Dungeon Saga was the most Mantic game that we could play. But the thing that was wrong about it was that while it was brilliantly tactical and it felt, very war gamey, setting it up took too long. And the kids were like, Dad, we're bored. What do you do, Monopoly? Unfold it, fight over who's going to be the top, who's going to be the dog, and start rolling dice. That's what we're going to try and address with Dungeon Saga Origins. Yeah. It's the game you can play quickly. Yeah. Get on with this journey of playing with miniatures, rolling some dice, seeing your character level up, going and looking what's in the treasure chest. And I'm very lightly an RPGer. Yeah. I get it and I understand it. And if you've got a wonderful GM, great. But I love toy soldiers. That's what I always loved. I'm a war gamer. The visual is even more important than the story, except the one that's going on in my head. And that's what I want to do with my kids. Yeah. And they were later on. I got Raven to All Out War, and we could play that, and he got it because it was zombies, goodies, baddies. He'd watch I don't know if you watch the TV series. If his mother's watching, let's not talk about that. But he knew that. But that step before, how do you get started? And I don't think there's a single game that does it well. Because we all make the games that we want now. Yeah. And I'm a dad, and I will make the game that I wanted to play with my boys, my girls. And so I think those are going to get, and then we're going to do a Dungeon Saga 2, which will be for us hoary old misery guts that really is super detailed and super leveled up and all of that depth. But so those are coming. And then we've got 2 licenses, very exciting. They suit board games, they're not war games. We can't go that far with them. And they're not even dungeon crawler board games, they're board games in the Umbrella Academy kind of style. Yeah. Watch this space. They'll probably be announced before Christmas. It's super interesting then. Yeah, and one of them can't be kickstarted because it's been a really big company. So and it's good fun. And the other one will be, and it's super good fun, and it all talks to us guys. So exciting. Yeah, that's a got a good thing coming there.
I love the sound of the Dungeon Saga Origins. I mean, I think you touch on a really important point. There isn't really any. I mean, there are entry-level war games, but they're not entry-level for younger, for families.
We're just talking about ambush here. Yeah. Well, let's just think what that involves. Yeah. So I say, hey, really low entry. All you've got to do is glue 40 figures together, right? Go play a really quite complicated game. And understand. So for any war game, and has been doing it for anything longer than 5 years, it's the easiest game you'll ever play, leading on to a really beautiful journey that you can do for the rest of your life. Yeah. However, it's not a dads and lads, dads and kids game. You're not going to say, come on, let's sit down here and roll some dice and be just romping around and adventure nice and quickly. Read these little cards. So everything in it is built. Yeah. So it's interactive, it's good fun, it's easy, and it fits in that slot prior to your actual journey. Yeah. It's a kind of Hero Quest, right? But better, better.
It's interesting
in terms of gameplay.
You mentioned Hero Quest there because that's a lot of people of our generation. It's a lot of people's entry point into it. Hero Quest now, the reprint is not an entry level kind of, especially with the price kind of thing. Like my son's 6-year-old now, and he likes to roll dice, and he likes to make stories, and he likes the idea. So we play Mars Attacks minis, aliens versus soldiers, and we roll the dice, and I'll just say if you
get a 6,
anything over a 4, and it kills one of my guys.
Exactly that.
And we're just playing that, and we'll make up stories as we go, kind of thing. I see this as like he's chomping at the bit to play games with me, and my games are not suitable, shall we say?
Correct.
Yeah.
What a better way to spending time with your kids.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do with them.
Love it.
But what you want to be doing is quasi being the DM.
Yeah.
But really, you're just having great fun spending time with your children, or with a group of kids. But it's dad time. It's daddy time. That's why I'm calling it like games with dad. Sorry, mums, and I know you can play it, but I mean, I just want to share a little bit of my hobby and my joy with you guys. And if you want to come and end up playing Kings of War Ambush, that's fine. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because it's like playing football with you. It was part of my life, part of my journey. I want to have some fun doing it with my kids. And I think a lot of dads are now this age that their kids are 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. They want to have some fun with them, enjoy it, but I know that it's close enough to a real game, but it's not so serious that it matters.
Yeah.
What matters is having some fun time together.
I am definitely target market. So I'm
we
happy
go.
about that.
So there's a few of us that are. And I think that's kind of where Mantic's trying to get to, is address some of these other things that we just... we've got our war games. They were always the kind of perennials to look after the kind of monthly bills that keep coming and everything else, to give me a format to do the crazy stuff that I just want to do.
Yeah, that's it. We're all kind of like sort of time poor, I think, these days as well. And if you can spend time with your children and also like sort of play games, I mean, it's kind of win-win, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Boom. I'll look after the kids this afternoon.
Yeah.
You go out.
You have a day.
I've got 3 hours. Correct. I'll do these 3 hours.
Exactly, yeah. Well, we're just talking as well briefly about kind of like, we kind of forget about 2020 and 2021 and stuff like that. There was a bit of a shift, I think, in the hobby industry and the tabletop industry of everyone stuck at home buying lots of models.
Yeah.
We're coming out of that now.
Yeah.
Have you seen much of a change? Like, has Mantic seen a change in buying patterns? Is it business as usual?
So interestingly, I think the two things with Mantic is we didn't see a huge up spike, so we haven't seen a kind of down spike. I think we saw people that were in. I think what people did was whatever game you were playing, you spend some more money on it, and so I think the big guys won big. And I think the other thing is not buying a holiday or not buying a car or not buying other things because you're at home. It allows you to buy that model that you've always wanted to buy that may be more expensive. Because what the heck, I'm going to treat myself and I've got time enough to build it and do it. And so, I know my own journey, I finished a few more units. I did that big terrain project, which I really enjoyed. And I think what a lot of people did with our stuff is they finished an army or started an army and painted it.
Yeah.
But once you've done 2, you want to get gaming. And I think what then was starting to happen was, I think this is the year that the tournament scene's back. We went back to Essen last week. Was it last week, a couple of weeks ago? And it was just like it was before, but we went last year, blinking awful. It was no attendance. Everyone was just a little bit timid. It wasn't good fun. People weren't. So it feels like we're back where we were. The big thing for Mantic is people need to see a demo of our game to go, oh, I could play that. Yeah. They need to chat with us and go, what, the whole rule book's in here? I don't need to have 15 other books to... No, that's it, but you're in. Oh, okay. And so it's those conversations that we stopped having. So I think we kind of looked after those we hadn't had a wonderful time. We had some fun with things like, Walking Dead was at its... we did a couple of sell-offs and people stayed at home, kind of gobbled that up. Yeah. But now we're back into the pattern of, hi, let's get recruiting, let's get playing, let's get some demos run, let's get out to shows, ambush and so on. Because Mantic is a tiny company and the way we get to be a bigger company is more people play what we do.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is by someone standing in a store saying, well, what's that game?
Yeah.
Well, I quite like the look of that. Tell me about it. How did you play that in 2 hours? Well, that's what we do.
Yeah, it's amazing how much kind of getting a demo of a game, the word of mouth coming from the person playing the demo, kind of hearing about it online, all those kind of things that they're just like they're the roots that kind of
seeing in a retail store.
We're seeing, don't we? Yeah,
seeing into the retail store and getting a new book. One of the charms of this is it's all those vets that have. They go out and they pick it up and there's noise about it, and therefore all those people that have been thinking about it. So, I've seen more posts in the last week just going, right, I'm in. Yeah, I like this. There's one book, I understand that. There's one army, I understand that. Bosh, let's get going.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we're seeing. And so I'm hoping that, the next 12, 18 months is a real kind of whoosh as we start doing what we were doing running into the pandemic. We had great momentum going in. There was lots of people starting to talk about what we do. When we went into the Momentum, we had one good game. That was 2019 October. And during the pandemic, we released a game, but and we had Dead Zone second edition. Now third now, aren't we? Yeah. So Dead Zone second, but that was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so we had one brilliant game, very fresh, just about to have a huge recruitment drive, and a half game that was a lovely game but was old and was end of kind of that edition of it. We've come out of it. We've got Kings of War now, brand new and fresh. We've got Dead Zone, 1 year old, very fresh, very exciting. Every single day we are shipping Dead Zone out the door. I don't know what's going on with the word of mouth, but something's going on because. And it's coming from different channels, like Amazon is ordering it, because people just go, oh, I've heard about that. Tap, tap, it arrives. Wow. You know what I mean? Whereas, Kings of War goes through hobby stores, it goes through the normal channels, and there's people just going, I've heard this game's very playable. Tap, 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 it arrives. And we're seeing this different thingy there, but it's got momentum. It's a beautiful game. As a sci-fi skirmish game, I don't think anything comes close to touching it. I just don't know because it's mine. But third edition now, it's so slick. Firefight came out, very playable sci-fi game. People love it. Really big plans coming for that. I think it's really a first edition Firefight. Because it's so different than the last one. I think it's a first edition, I call it. So Firefight 2.0.1. So 2.0, we've got some. You always need a little sandpaper on the year after to just smooth it out and then go again. We've got something planned for that, and we've got Armada. So we've come out of it with 4 games. The great news is we've got 4 games. The challenge is we've got 4 games. How do you support 4 games? So for us, we used it to kind of broaden out, but use the quality we've got and the skills we've got and the resin and some other things to open us up.
Fantastic. And we were just saying there as well, obviously we're starting to see events happening now. We're starting to get back gaming together. Mantic Open Day is coming tomorrow.
We
always get some.
This must be going out tonight, is it?
If I can get this edited.
Otherwise it was yesterday.
If not, it happened last week. Always some good reveals. Can you share anything with us today?
I think you've got most of them, haven't you? You've shared that. I mean, we're gonna talk a little bit more about my favourite. I'm a bit of a terrainaholic. You've got a board game division, which we're on the place to talk about. I've gone off piece there. So, but I can't tell you how excited I am about this. And we had a little chat beforehand.
We did,
And I think when I first say I've got some trees, people go, "What on earth are you talking about? You're an idiot." And after about 7 or 8 minutes, people go, "Oh my God, oh wow, okay." So we've got the trees coming up. We've got ambush sets coming out in the new year. 6 armies, real focus on all plastic in the set. Really nice. Get you going, just get you up to that 500 points, get playing. A new Dead Zone 2-player set. So same rules, same everything else, but just 2 new armies, just to keep it fresh and to keep other people looking at that and picking it up. Some very exciting things happening with Armada. We've got Armada releases coming out next year. So interactive scenery, volcanoes, forts, all manner of things of Kraken that are going to come up and start messing up your game. So you've got used to it, you've got your fleet, you know how to play. Right, let's mess all that up. And 2 new fleets too. So
exciting. So there is still plenty of stuff we could talk about.
Oh yeah.
So as we spoke very briefly as well before we started recording this, the fantasy tree, fantastic trees.
Fantastic trees.
The fantastic trees. We're going to talk about in a separate video because there's a lot to cover.
Yep.
So I'll put a link up somewhere when that one goes live as well, and you can flick across to it. But I think we've shared enough today, Ronnie. We'll keep some back for next time, right?
All right, let's do that.
So thanks very much for watching, folks. I'll see you in the next video.